StuffX87 is really struggling to model this roof. Any tips are greatly appreciated. I just need to get the drops right, but can't get my head around it. Frowny face. We've been there. That's normal. It happens. No problem. I'll show you how I would do it. You have an elevation, and it looks like that it is generated in a CAD program, and that it is accurate. Just laying down guides to see. So we can use both of these, this front profile and this roof line image, to generate some stuff really quickly. It's not going to be to scale because I don't know what your scale is, but that's something that you can work on yourself by applying some general methods here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to modify this picture, and I'm going to say that this side is, oh man, 100 this way, and we're going to scale everything to just this line right here. So this is your picture or whatever, you'll be able to do it the proper way. So I just added that. I'm going to save the file. I'm not going to save it. Yeah. Just save the file. All right. Jump over to 3D Studio Max. Doesn't matter what version you have, the process will all be very similar. I'm going to make a plane. I'm going to open up my material. I'm going to go to diffuse. Click on the little button, and it's loading up all of my plugins and stuff, but we just need a bitmap where this is just basic scanline stuff. So navigate to your location of your image. This is in Reddit help for me, building a roof. Resume 01, I don't know why it's called that, but that's how you have it named, and that's what it's still named. Okay, so I applied it. I did show in viewport, and now if I turn off grid with G, you can see it's here, but it's kind of stretched, and now whenever I change these dimensions, it changes along with it. So we are basing this on the 100 feet right here. So what I'm going to do is make a box, and now you can see that this is 100 units, but might as well make this feet. So customize, unit setup, US standard with 1/32. Oh, that's just fine. We don't need that kind of accuracy. Here we go. Width. So this is only 6 feet wide. We're going all the way to 100 feet. Big. So you can see our scale was way off to begin with. And you want to start your shit this way anyway, because you want your scale to be correct from the ground up. You don't want it to be wrong to start with. So I'm making this oversized to begin with, and you can see it's not great. Whatever, that's fine. Okay, so we have that, and now it's still responding to whatever the size of this plane is, but I just tried to get it loosely to what that was. And now what I do is I put a UVW map modifier. This is the exact same thing as if you come here and you go down to UVW map. I just have it a little button because I use it a heck of a lot. Okay, so this is good, but we don't want to type anything in. These dimensions are the same as they are on the plane, you'll see. But what we want to do is get our pixels 1:1 so they're not squished. So we're going to click bitmap fit. We're going to click our bitmap, and it's going to look at the resolution of this, and then it's going to apply it. And I've gotten pretty good at guessing, so it shifted a little bit. But now, no matter what, as long as you're previewing up the stack, it's not screwing it around. It's not messing it up or anything. Okay, so we've got this. And now what we're going to do is get our little UV map modifier thing, and we're going to look in the top view. So there's no perspective distortion. This box is 100 feet, and I did a pretty good job. Pretty close. So I'm going to line up, and this is not, this is not like building a house accurate, but this is building a 3D model accurate and doing some artwork for it. Okay, so you can see I moved it to the edge there, but really you want to move it to the center here. There we go. And now you can adjust this, but you can see that you're squashing it again. So the only thing you can do is scale it. So if you right click on the scale, it brings up this dialog, and then if you hold down the Alt button, you can get like incremental scale, and you just want it to be about the size of this box. So if your picture is really pixelated like this one, you can go into, what is it? They move this in every single version. Configure viewports maybe. Texture maps, I have mine up to 4K. Yours, I think, was about that big. But I'm gonna copy these numbers. Can you do this? No, you can't. I'm gonna add a 0. Hit apply, click in here, hit reload. Okay, so that's like if yours was 256 and it was really pixelated, that's how you would fix it. All right, so now we have our reference image, and these are spline, like you could have brought these in as splines or whatever you wanted to do. But this is what we're working with. So now what I want to do is get back to my perspective, and I always just want to clone off, oops, I'm in sub-object mode. I'm going to clone off a copy just where I was. This is sized image. All right, that's the sized image. And now we're going to make one for the flat, like viewing the house forward, and then we're going to make one for viewing the house down. And it will make sense what I said in just a second. So watch. Here, if we look here, you can see the grid. I don't mind having points, but I'd rather put them in later. And we're going to put an edit poly. So we're changing the size of the plane with the polygons. And you can see that when I grabbed that, it shifted. And that's because it's like showing the plane's original UVW map and not the other one. So F2 turns off the shaded highlights. But if you use your vertex selection, it doesn't mess with your UVW map like the other mode does. Okay, so I'm just going to bring these in. I'm just scaling them in the middle. It doesn't matter. However you like to move stuff. If it's symmetrical, that's how I like to move it. Okay, cool. So there's our roof plane. Let's call this guide roof. Done. All right. I'm not gonna move the pivot because we're gonna use it for the other image as well, so it can always be aligned to it. All right, so we have that, and now we can just go to sub-object of the UVW, and we can move the plane down here. All right, and I'm gonna put the house. Let me jump in Photoshop and see. It looks like this is grade, maybe. I don't know what words you're using or what planet you live on, but on my planet I call that the grade line. Maybe that's not the grade line and I should use the blue. Yeah, I'm gonna use the blue. So here again, and this is not the precise thing. You can see this is the bottom blue. That top blue is not showing because it doesn't have the resolution, but that's fine. If you had splines, you would repeat the same process, but you wouldn't have to mess with UVW map. You just have to get your scaling correct. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is affect the pivot, and I want the pivot to go to the, you've got the colors here. You've got Z, Y, X. I'm going to guess. There we go. Y to the minimum and hit OK, and that just moved that pivot right there. So now I can just close affect pivot only, angle 90 degrees. Awesome. Okay, so if this is annoying you and you have shading, you can just do this. Oh yeah, perfect, beautiful, wonderful, groovy. Okay, let's turn our grid back on so we can kind of get a semblance of where the center of the screen is. And I'm gonna move this just up a little bit like this. Cool, awesome. So now you can kind of like start to see what's going on here. I'm gonna click on my roof guide, Alt Q for isolate. You can see there's a little 100. We've already sized it to that. But this is where we're going to come in here and just estimate. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be magical or anything. All right, there's different parts to this roof, and we'll get to all of them eventually, but I'm just going to rough one in for now. Over an area, convert to editable poly, and now this still has the settings that I had before. You would not want all your polygons and stuff, the 4x4 grid, because it would throw you off very quickly for what we're going to do here. Okay, cool. So we have that. If you hit Alt-X, you can see through it if it's hard to see, or in here you can lower your opacity to like 50, and you can kind of manipulate how you see your information. Okay, so from here, what I want to do is grab this edge, and I hit connect, and that goes right in the middle. And now, if this is exact, like you would use the splines from a DWG or CAD file or something, but it's pretty close to where that needs to be. That's good. And then I also will come in here, and I'm just gonna cut from the corner, and I'm gonna try to get as close as I can, seeing through this garbage that happens. Cut to the edge, and then cut back to the corner. I'm gonna corner, edge, corner. Cool. Okay. And now that's pretty good, but it can get a little bit annoying because you don't have the rest of what you need here, really. Let's see if I can put a lattice on here. Here we go, just to see through it. So we'll work on deleting that off later. Okay, so now we've got a semblance of what your roof is. And if you come in here, and you just grab this point and you pull it up, you'll start to see that you have something here. But we just want to grab this, and we want to with everything selected, F2 showing, and I'm just going to clear out all of my polygon, whatever, smoothing angles. You'll see that that gives you like a really nice little edge. So now we're going to work on this over here. One thing that's going on here is that, sorry, I will say what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get another line. So I'm going to grab these, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to connect. I don't use 3D Studio Max enough anymore. Okay, great. So this is going to go like this. Wonderful, wonderful. And then we're going to have Alt-X, and you want to definitely jump around your views. We're going to try to figure out the most efficient way to do this. Alright, I'm just going to drag this corner out. And it might get a little bit screwy right here. It might be better to have this be a separate object, and then we will resize it accordingly, if that makes sense. Because you've got the same structure, if that makes sense, coming out the front of a house. It's just going to be smaller. Okay, so use your top viewport. It's hard to see all the time, I understand, I know. Turn off that F2 crap. I'm going for the width of this section first. Okay, and this, like, this is it's eyeballed. I'm not saying this is the most best, awesomest way to do this. There's probably other people rolling their eyes right now, but that's just fine. You're getting free help on the internet. What do you expect? Okay, I'm going to take these. I want this surface to be flat. So one way you can do that is highlight them. You can use polygons or vertex mode. I'll use vertex. You can see it's on the Y, and if you just right click the Y, oh, what the frack. Here we go. We'll do it with scale then. On the Y, right click, now it's flat. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, I made one mistake when I scaled this, and that was that I scaled it I scaled it uniformly, so it ended up higher. That's just fine for now, I'm gonna say. This lattice was just a show. But now you can start to see your roof roughed in. I think this is kind of what your image is showing, if we go back here, view image, I don't know what this, oh, okay. So this is more of a hang down over the house. There's different ways to do that. I don't know what your slope is on your roof. You will have all those numbers and you can make them exact. This is just how I built it. I can reference the image, but I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is your project. It's not my project. And like I said, I've gotten decent. The thing that you will have to do, though, is make sure that I'm deleting these lattices off. I'm selecting one and I'm going to attach the other one. Okay. The thing that you're gonna have to do is just make sure you modify both of them. If that makes sense. Okay. Pretty good. Now this is not exact, but it's gonna help you get started. In order to merge this into here, let's just do it. Let me just do your work for you. Let's say that we would cut from here to here. Okay, I'm gonna delete this out. Okay. Can't quite bridge that, I guess. That's fine. Okay, there we go. So now this is all one. If I come in here, collapse, this didn't get moved to the right spot. That's why easier is real snaps. You'll see it shows 2, collapse down to 1. Okay, now you've got a 1 poly mesh for your roof. And we just want to, oh, well, this didn't go perfectly accurate, which sucks, but can't do much now. I'll just collapse it and it's gonna be good enough for what you need. Okay, this would be my workaround for this next problem that you are encountering, where you want the roof to slope down, and that is to do an auto grid and build a plane. Just build a plane right on. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna isolate this and I'm gonna do auto grid. I don't know why it's going through. Let me turn off my snap and do it again. There we go. It was snapping to the ground plane is what the problem was. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm gonna, always reduce the things that you are looking at and working on to the fewest things possible. Let me just detach this. That's the backup roof. Grab these 3, isolate them. Perfect. Okie dokie. So now I'm going to use my top view. And I'm going to make this see-through. And now I can't just like move it like this around because you can see what it's doing here. If I move this around, it's going inside of the house. You can't do that. But what you can do is, since it's built on the plane of the building, you can do local. And you can see how you can modify it now, and it slides with all the information that you would need. So this is pretty good. And we're just going to use this as a guide. So from here, what I would do is probably, I want to try to keep it quad, so I'm going to grab here. I just did a ring. I have keyboard shortcuts set up. Supposedly, I don't know. And I'm just moving these things in the viewports. I work all viewports, really, is how I prefer to work. So if I'm jumping around, sorry, but not super sorry. All right, so here it's a little bit screwy, but it's not really that screwy. You can just like, you know, you could just copy this over here and say this is going to be the thing. But if you turn on your snaps toggle, where edge and segment, let's try that. We snap it down here. Hey, that's pretty good, pretty good. Okay, and then there's things that you'll want to watch out for, which is, I don't need that image anymore, I just have the roof. We're looking straight down, so we no longer have a straight edge here. So we're going to fix that just by clicking this edge, getting the scale tool again, X, right click to go to 0. I'm going to go and do the same thing on this. But on this one, instead of doing that, I'm going to kind of move it to match it here. And this is where you can come in here and you can start to see things that are not straight. So this bottom angle is not straight, so I will grab it and I will check it in the X, and I'm just going to scale it Y. And here I'm going to do a very similar thing between all three of these points. Well, actually, all these points straight across. X, right click to squish it down. And this should be really close to what you have in your image. Again, not 100%, but nothing is these days. Nothing is these days. Once you're at this point, you can just like, you know, delete out some of these unnecessary edges. Can't see around my microphone. And you have mostly quads. It should all be quads, so if you had to do video game shit or whatever, you could. But yeah, you know, from there you can put on your shell modifier. It's a good way to check how connected your thing is, but that is how I would get started on roughing in that roof. So if I get this and this is what this roof looks like to me. I'm sure there's other ways you could build the angles to be accurate and all this stuff, but the houses are built off the plans. They're not built off this 3D model. This is just an artistic interpretation of it. And this has been more than good enough for all the projects I've done. So I can sell you this file for $400, or I'll just give it to you if you ask nicely. So I hope it helped. Bye.